for justice and truth, yet behind closed doors they're aloof, promising change but staying the same, playing the people like pawns in a game. Their voices loud, their actions weak, in the shadows their true motives speak. They rise on the backs of those they betray. For justice and truth, yet behind closed doors they're aloof, promising change but staying the same, playing the people like pawns in a game. Their voices loud, their actions weak, in the shadows their true motives speak. They rise on the backs of those they betray, while the real issues are kept at bay. They amplify the voices they choose, silencing those they want to lose. They jeer at your stumbles, revel in your plight. Their words cut deep like blades in the night. Concealed behind screens, their joy is clear. Thriving on pain, they draw near. They don't see the people's disdain, yet the people also play the same game. It's why their followers slowly drift away in so much pain. Entitled, delusional, self-serving, oh their pride. While people suffer, they walk and laugh and take it all within their stride. Yet they are worshipped and rewarded. The imbalance is oh so clear. The real problem's right here. In the grassroots, the same old game. Influencers and leaders all the same. Social media's playground, a mirror to see. The political stage, hypocrisy. Call it out and you're their foe, but the truth is something we all know. Who stands by their side, knowing this? They are held to the same standard as an abyss. You hold the key, they promise change, they promise hope, but in their lies we cannot cope. The same old faces, the same old game, in the end it's all the same. They rise to fame on broken dreams, ignoring all the silent screams. Their power grows, their influence spreads, while truth and justice hang by threads. Entitled, delusional, self-serving, oh their pride. While people suffer, they walk and laugh and take it all within their stride. Yet they are worshipped and rewarded. The imbalance is oh so clear. The real problem's right here. Eyes wide open, we see through the veil. The irony of influence, a tale to tell. In every group, the same old song. The power imbalance, it won't be long. Behind the screens, they hide their face. In shadows, they control the space. Their words are weapons, their smiles deceive. In their world, it's hard to believe. They claim to fight for you and me, but in their hearts they're far from free. Their actions speak, their motives clear. Their words just ear candy for your ear. The real problem's always near. See the truth in every action, in every move. The irony of influence plain to see. A call for change for you and me. Behind the screens, they hide their face. In shadows, they control the space. Their words are weapons, their smiles deceive. In their world, it's hard to believe. The real problem's always near. So let's question more and see the truth in every action, in every move. The irony of influence plain to see. A call for change for you and me.
I wanna say, they wanna feel.
All I wanna say is that they don't really care. Thank you very much. I just want to say before we begin, these are all Biden trials. This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning. And it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country. Second of all, we have another trial going on right now. That's Letitia James. She campaigned on the fact that I will get Trump. I'm going to get Trump. And it has to do with a bond of $175 million. First of all, she doesn't want me to participate with financial companies in New York. So we have a company, I guess, based in California. It's a bonding company. And I put up $175 million in cash. But she says the bonding company's not good. She doesn't like the bonding company because she doesn't know if the collateral is good. And I put up $175 million in cash, and she's questioning the bonding company. Well, when you put up cash, and the number is 175, which is what we're supposed to be putting up, but I give it in cash, she shouldn't be complaining about the bonding company. The bonding company would be good for it because I put up the money. And I have plenty of money to put up, but nobody is going to be putting up with this. Nobody is going to be listening or coming to New York anymore. Businesses are going to be fleeing because people are treated so badly. It's got to be the most unfriendly place to do business, and that's why businesses are leaving and people are leaving as migrants come in and take over our parks and our schools and everything else. So on the Letitia James case, she's the worst attorney general in the country, by the way. On Letitia, and she keeps a lot of business out of New York, and businesses that are here are leaving. And that means jobs and a lot of revenue. Somebody's going to step in, the governor, or somebody has to step in and do something because your businesses are fleeing. But on Letitia James, the money was put up, it's $175 million, and I don't think she's complaining about me for the first time ever. She's complaining about the company, but why would she be doing that when I put up the money? So I just want you to know that that's taking place in front of an extremely crazed judge who's the most overturned judge in New York State. He was overturned 4 or 5 times on that case alone. That's, you know who it is. I don't have to mention names. I want to be nice. I want to be very nice. But a thing like that, and a thing like what's going on right here should never be happening. It's a very, very sad day in America, I can tell you that. Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. I just want to say before...
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Tori Says Show. Today is Monday, November 24th, 2025. And today we can mark it as a day of defeat, kind of, but it's not really. I've been extremely busy today and share this far and wide because I'm going to be sharing a recorded call of someone talking to and saying things. And this character has been in multiple depositions and pretty much involved in anything regarding the elections of 2020 and J6. And I encountered him. In fact, he was put in a position to question me early on during the election interference debacles. And it was interesting. At some point during the conversation, I realized that there was an ulterior type way he was coming about things. So I met him with the same. See, when I realized that someone is not being genuine during the conversation, because at first people try to get you comfortable and they turn it on, just like the CIA teaches everyone to, I found that the best way to do it is just to taint everything you fucking say so they can't use it. And so during the interview, my 80-20 rule went, where I gave him 80% truth and 20 inconsistencies. And that's to taint everything he had. And over the years, revisiting him was interesting The last time I spoke with this individual was in 2022. And the reason I did was to kind of see where he's at, which confirmed what I found out about Roger Stone going to Canada, which was my sideways way of doing it, like saying, hey, what are you up to? How are you? And kind of left it like that. I think in retrospect, he was used as a throwaway. And what's interesting is people like Lara Logan, who had him at her house for a month and a half, Patrick Byrne, General Flynn, all these people had this man under his wing, under their wing. We're talking big names. That person has been completely disregarded. Now, did the person try to, or did they make me feel kind of uncomfortable and to extract information? Yes. Does that mean that they don't deserve to have civil liberties and be heard with evidence? Absolutely not. And everyone knows, even if I don't like someone or if I'm iffy about someone, and I may be eating a little bit of crow when it comes to this individual, I will defend the shit out of their rights. So today we're going to talk Tina Peters and elections. Now, shall we start with the recorded phone call? Or, how do you guys want to play with this? I'm kind of thinking. So, I think, how can I... how do I start this? Maybe I can start with our defeat today. And you're going to say, we didn't get defeated. Well, temporarily we did. And I'll explain that. But you have to understand strategy. So just so you understand, look what happened today. And you can feel the weight of today kind of immediate. Yesterday, you found out that Doge was dismantled. People were distributed among other agencies. So our Fed groups are now no longer federal workers against Doge. And that's escalated. Funny how I was right about the military and all these people conducting a coup, because we're watching them. We are literally watching all of these military and CIA and contractors with Cybercom and even people within our own State Department under Rubio colluding together. So I guess I was right. That little campaign they did was to give a boost of energy. And so today, what happened as well? Today, what did we get? Is it because James Comey and Letitia James are somehow above the law? And not because the cases against them were trivial, but it's because the whole entire thing actually collapsed on a single fatal flaw that had nothing to do with guilt or innocence. Now, if you all read my article on Tina Peters, I tell you how judges get their outs, right? Now, the federal judge in the Eastern District of Virginia, which is spook judges, didn't exonerate them. The court simply said that the indictments themselves were never valid because the person who brought them into existence had no legal right to hold the pen. Now, let me ask you all a question. Do you actually think that we are that stupid? Do you actually think we are that stupid? You have to kind of think about that for a second. Now, once you understand why the cases were dismissed, then the entire moment becomes less about Comey and Letitia and more about the architecture of government itself. Who has authority? How that authority is granted? And what happens when the executive branch, tries to interpret the rules the way they see and is caught in a catch-22. And Lindsay Halligan became the hinge. She wasn't a prosecutor, not really. She was a political ally, a loyalist with no criminal prosecutorial background. That doesn't mean she can. She was placed in that the interim U.S. attorney role. She was put in there. That's lawful, statutory process, but through, I guess, pressure, impatience, or maybe strategy, the kind that builds behind closed doors. Strategy. This occurred. And because her predecessor had already run past the 120-day legal window, her appointment was never technically legal to begin with. So every action she took was kind of like a domino, right? Set up on a table that should never have been set. Now, that's what Judge Curie saw. And once he saw it, the outcome was unavoidable. I mean, when you see that something's wrong, you're going to call it out. See, that judge quickly did it, unlike in Tina Peters' case. And there's reasons for that. That is a whole enchilada of something else. But we were all okay. Oh, well, I guess me and my team are kind of all okay with this happening. And there are reasons for that. But the cases themselves, ironically, were almost secondary. Comey's indictment of false statements, obstruction, was tied to old Senate testimony and was always being framed as a political boomerang aimed backward at a man who became a symbol in 2016 and 2017 during the, should I say, the Conjuring. Letitia James was charged with mortgage fraud after she had, committed fraud. Like her shit doesn't stink. I mean, Schiff's even worse, but whatever. Now, the moment these indictments collapsed, everyone's reacting according to a script. Letitia James is relieved, grateful, and she's framing it as she's been vindicated. Bull fucking shit, procedural shit, and it's purposeful. Comey, he was, lamenting what had become of the Justice Department. Oh my God, I'm going to say this quiet part out loud. It's weaponized, you little bitch. Now, and everyone in the MAGA camp are all furious. And it's like, why? I mean, I remember when I saw the filing, I was like, holy shit, he's going to catch him up. I actually had seen the fact that had lapsed. So I was just observing. I was thinking, okay, then why would we file? I mean, we've got a lot of great minds. Who missed it? That person's head should roll. Okay? If it was me, that person's head should roll. But on the other hand, this is a fantastic strategy. Now, if you watch them long enough and you start to see the rhythm of it, right? The rise, the retreat, the settling in. Power has a way of relaxing after it strikes. That's always the mistake people make when they're cocky, kind of like Justice Barrett when he was, sentencing Tina Peters. He got cocky and he said the quiet part out loud. Indictments, gag orders, arrests, leaks, PR blitzes, congressional pressure, full spectrum dominance, right? Everything moves fast, and that's where confusion lives. And in a state of confusion, people are not very aware of what's happening. Fast is where people don't have time to think. Fast is where they can shape the story before the facts actually settle. But the thing about fast moves is that they're pretty much never sustainable. And at some point, the adrenaline and the gusto burns off. People believe that the threat has been neutralized, and silence of the voices, cage the witnesses, cage the bad guys, discredit the evidence, worn down people in the opposition. And then they think they won. And once they think they've won, they get really comfortable. And comfort is the one state they never assume the other side is watching for. But it's a moment that reveals everything. When they get comfortable, they stop guarding their corners. They stop monitoring the timelines. They stop anticipating the aftershocks. They stop expecting a comeback. And they assume the enemy is exhausted, defeated, or disorganized. Now, let's be fair. The people of the United States of America are exhausted. They feel defeated. And right now, Obama's peeps. I like to call them Obama's peeps, even though it's them. But let's just bucket that way. Feel very empowered right now because they're on top of the world. They got away with that. And now they have something to throw back and say, well, Trump lost. And it's like, didn't really lose. It was procedural. But then on the other hand, you have to think, was that procedural thing on purpose or not? Because if it wasn't on purpose, which I think it should have been, but if it wasn't on purpose, that person's head must roll. They should have known better. I mean, all judges look for an out. This was the easiest one. But see, when the enemy to them, which is the people of the United States and President Trump, is seemingly exhausted, defeated, or disorganized, they assume the narrative is locked and the public has moved on. They assume procedural victories are permanent, not vulnerable. They assume that the battlefield is quiet because they've overpowered it, not because there's some repositioning going on. And that's where counter strategy begins. Because a comeback never arrives during the chaos. It arrives in the lull. It arrives when they're complacent, when they underestimate, when they're confident that no one's paying attention. It comes when they forget that the law actually remembers, that procedure is not just a weapon for them, but a shield for us. It arrives when they forget that jail does not silence a plaintiff, that conviction does not erase evidence, that a technical dismissal doesn't mean immunity. It arrives when they forget the people they sideline. Tina Peters, whistleblowers, investigators, and Robert Karen. They don't vanish. They just accumulate pressure. And pressure, once contained long enough, becomes a force. Force becomes a strategy. Strategy becomes a return. And the cycle always works like this. They strike first, loud, messy, sloppy, political. We strike later, methodical, precise, untelegraphed, right? That's usually how it is. Well, this time, we struck, counterstruck, loud, messy, and sloppy, and political. And they struck with methodical, precise, and telegraphed. So then the question is, what would the next counterstrike be? See, they dominate the headlines. We dominate the aftermath. They build their cases. We dismantle them slowly. They rely on fear, but we rely on time. Because time is the only one battlefield no one ever defends. They don't see it as terrain. They see it as a clock. But we know better. Time is a structural weakness. And we'll talk about that tomorrow in regards to Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon and what she said. And that's the topic of tomorrow's show. But one must understand that no one sees time as a terrain. They see it as a clock, as hands on a face of a beautiful watch. But we should know better. Time is a structural weakness. It exposes flaws. It exposes unlawful appointments. It exposes expired authorities. It exposes conflicts of interest. It exposes corrupt motivation. It exposes signal messages, emails. It exposes clerks that have conversations. It exposes procedural gaps. It exposes the very shortcut someone might take because they were too hungry, to win rather than deal with it head on. And see, the moment rules snap back, like they did with the invalid appointment of Halligan, the whole scaffolding collapses because they're going to get sloppy. Because they think intimidation will replace legality. They will use their platform and megaphone to do it. And I can assure you this, that campaign you saw with former CIA agent, you're never former, you're always, right? Speaking, where a military officer encouraged the military to not take orders from the commander in chief, where senators, congresspeople all do this. I can assure you this. They are being methodical on that method. If you guys are expecting a George Floyd moment, do not even think that's happening. I actually believe they're going to be doing something extremely dangerous, considering the money that's coming from Harvard to fund most of this. I mean, there's a lot of money coming in, and I want to say a lot, but I don't want to burn that bridge. But they're ramping up. See, they took the defeat and sat with it. They planted the information they needed by having everyone talk about the No Kings protests and USAID and Roe, who is a spent card, like I said. They planted the information they needed you to believe is it. While all the while, I've been telling you that we have our government, federal officials, SCSs, military, decorated officers, with some with stars, having conversations on how to overthrow the government. But for some reason, the biggest megaphone wins. And so therefore, the people stay asleep. Now, I mean, that's how strategy works, right? And this is how it always works. You never fight during the height of fury. You wait for the stillness right after, when they confuse the quiet with victory, when people are comfortable. And then you come back. Not out of vengeance, but it's kind of inevitable, right? Because every unlawful act carries the seed of its own destruction. And every time a corner's cut, they leave a trail. Every time they try to cover up a crime, it creates another crime. And every time they silence a whistleblower, they strengthen the witness. And every time they rig the process, they set the stage for their own undoing. It's not revenge, it's physics. The system corrects, but only after power gets tired of holding its breath. And we come back the moment they exhale. Now, I think for this moment, hope you guys have shared this. I am going to be sharing a transcribed audio. Now, to be fair, I have edited the voices only because there were things that were being said that I do not want out there yet. And are you kidding? No way. Give me a second. One moment. Why am I not seeing this? All right, give me a second. Why is this not playing? Do I have to do a screen thing? Give me a second. The way I did it was kind of on the fly. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a screen share on that. Okay. So, let's see. All right. All right, so let's go back. I hope you guys are ready for this because this is going to be kind of interesting. Actually, not kind of interesting. Extremely fascinating for many of you. So please make sure, grab yourself a coffee because for the next 10 minutes, you're going to be hearing some really juicy things. So, is this it? Hold on. Where is it? Okay, here we go.
for investigating the Trump campaign, but failed to disclose the information to candidate Trump running for United States president, through a defensive briefing to warn of risks associated with hiring Carter Page, and the FBI did not take actual procedural precautions.
All right, you guys. I'm fixing the audio, and I'm going to upload it with the audio. I hope you got the gist of it. I was trying to do it offline, but everyone that was so impatient. This is a recorded call from a prison. And it's not any prison. So while this is rendering into a format that is not, it's so weird that it's corrupted. I was playing it, listening to it. It's so weird. I think that it's important I tell you about this. So let's talk about the jail. Harris County, Texas. This person has been in jail since 2023. Former CIA connected figure, liaison between high-level political groups and intel adjacent circles, someone who has actual documents tied to Russiagate, someone who name drop even in front of me, very high-level intel officials, and someone who operated behind the scenes. A figure that suddenly goes silent isn't exactly what you'd expect, like him, except if they're detained. And their absence is the issue. Now, so you understand, this individual had a lot of information, and you're going to hear them. They have a lot of information, and they were arrested in a way that many people do. I actually tried to communicate with them in 2023 and didn't, every year around August, I would call and kind of touch base like, hey, what are you up to? This person thought that maybe selling me a job, putting me in the media, because that was actually kind of plus aid to me, was going to satisfy me. Because a lot of people asked me, what do you want? And I was like, what do you mean, what do I want? I just want to fix my damn country. This has been going on too long. And so the curious question is, if this person was the one that aided Patrick Byrne, Robert, and many other people, General Flynn, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, a bunch of people, Bernie, our late and beloved former NYPD commissioner, and they go to jail and no one talks about it. And not only that, when you're in prison, you have a number, a SPIN number, right? You're assigned one number so they know who you are. Well, this person has three of them. And people can't even find him when they go to the prison. They give his name and they're like, don't know what you're talking about. Hey, this is Harris County Jail. Now, what is Harris County Jail? Well, here's the weird thing, right? So this jail specifically is kind of interesting because, well, it's kind of federal, but local too. So people should ask that question. What does that mean? It's almost as if, you want to keep someone quiet. People with intelligence ties usually don't get public trials unless their exposure is intentional. And since Harris County is known to be a holding jurisdiction, half federal, half civil cases, he's been there 2 years. Federal cases sometimes sit disguised as local cases. Charges can remain sealed for long periods of time, and individuals can be held pending transfer or pending cooperation. Now, this individual, if they're a witness, an asset, or a liability, or part of an operation that required containment, well, then Harris County is exactly the place someone like that would disappear to. And, the timing kind of fits. Purge of independent operators after the 2020 elections. Between 2021 and 2023, dozens of operatives, contractors, and volunteer intel people tied to post-election investigations were arrested quietly, pressured, or sidelined, or they just simply disappear because they've been made. Many of them you've seen. You've seen all this shit happen. Now, this person has appeared in many transcripts during the J6 committee. He referenced Clapper, Hayden, Elon Musk, saying that he was spoofing at the Trump Tower, and that makes him a very dangerous narrator. You have an individual that knows a lot, speaks too freely, or isn't formally controlled by any institution. Or it could just be a way to make it seem like that. So give me a moment while we check the audio. Let me check and see. Okay. It's actually been uploaded. Here we go. Is this it? Let me see. Hold on. No. Hold on. In the box. Okay, let me add it. There we go. All right, everyone. Enjoy this call. And like I said, I obfuscated some voices that were overlapping so that we don't give away our identity. Not because I'm hiding mine, but I think it's the right thing to do. So I've skewed them all, so except for the person, as long as I could. So, maybe one of you guys who are in Harris County can go take a look. Or maybe the DOJ who's watching will actually pull the Band-Aid off now that we got a procedural firing, and this could be a timely position to bring this out. I mean, just because someone sings the alphabet from A to Z and maybe omitting some letters doesn't mean too much. So, enjoy.
It is being reported in the health.
Okay, good. Okay, this is non-consequential anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's entitled "No Threat Assessment." It's one of dozens of chapters in one of the reports that addresses James Comey and the DOJ and FBI. And this will take me about 3 minutes to read, or 3 to 4 minutes. The United States government has an abundance of procedures and oversight mechanisms. Every investigation or operation of the type as the Russia probe is supposed to be predicated on an actual crime derived from a criminal event or a threat assessment, period. Of course, as overwhelming evidence has proven, there was no criminal event, only noise about Russian hacking, which was never proven, open parentheses. Actually, experienced technicians and network engineers declared the volume of emails during the time period of the supposed hacking from the facility would be impossible, and the only way to transfer that volume of emails that quickly would be through a USB drive. Immediately, spurious claims relating to 4 theories were launched, all from parties with a bias against President Trump. There are procedural steps and hierarchical decisions that would have to occur to justify a real investigation, but there was not in this case. Period. Next paragraph. This is the starting point to uncover the crimes and the conspiracy against President Trump. Next paragraph. Simply look at what the basis for the Russia collusion investigation was. First point. Use the document flow of the DOJ and FBI. Period. Next point. Use the memorialized statements by persons of authority in FBI and DOJ, captured by media, as these serve as admissions to chart actions. Period. Next point. Chronologically track the initial contact between the FBI and each of the 4 people of interest the FBI would eventually identify. Period. Next point. Interview the USG personnel who were part of the surveillance apparatus. Period. Next paragraph. There was never any proper threat assessment trail by any U.S. agency that justified any investigation of the Trump campaign. Period. In absence of an established crime, the U.S. government has to have sufficient evidence of a threat that has been verified through a rigorous process. Threat assessments are effectuated from the bottom up, starting with field agents or analysts who identify potential targets for surveillance and investigation, not from the top down. Because those parties at the top would have to have had communications from their personnel presenting corroborated evidence and follow a rigid process of verification to determine and justify where they point investigators. Period. Highlighted in bold, there was never any evidence of any crime or real threat. So, former Obama administration officials, in collaboration with parties associated with the opposing candidate for president and foreign actors, attempted to manufacture evidence, open parentheses, entrapment ploys against innocent Trump campaign participants, and joint production of the Steele dossier by UK and non-Kremlin Russia, DOJ, Perkins Coie law firm, Fusion GPS, and Clinton operatives constituting sedition. Close parentheses. Next paragraph. They would have to justify hiring special counsel to launch an investigation and pull in the president, but they had no crime or legitimate threat assessment, period. Thus, the actions by James Comey to leak memos touting criteria to try to hire special counsel. The motive and actions of James Comey to deliberately leak information to spark the hiring of special counsel were admitted to by James Comey, period. Thus, by James Comey event of staging circumstances, then leaking his actions was a ruse to circumvent having an actual crime because clearly a criminal predicate had not been established. Only a narrative from the imagination of dubious sources, comma, resulting in the four haphazard theories being fabricated, and then a ridiculous false dossier produced by political enemies of the president, comma, filled with blatant lies, open parentheses, that the FBI did not even bother to investigate before, during, or after applying to FISC, close parentheses, in an attempt to justify their actions. Next paragraph. The following are the four parties, the bad actors from the Obama administration, and Clinton et al., open parentheses, Hillary, Mark Elias at Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, Clinton Foundation, and more, close parentheses, were setting up to claim candidate Trump ordered Russia collusion. Number one, Carter Page. Number two, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Number three, Paul Manafort. Number four, George Papadopoulos. Next paragraph. The first fabrication to look at is Carter Page. The following is a summary chronology that clearly confirms the multiple intentional criminal acts that have had to take place. 01-2013, Victor Podobny introduces himself to Carter Page at a conference. Next paragraph. 03-2013, FBI makes a record that while surveilling Victor Podobny, the FBI supposedly learns that Victor Podobny is trying to recruit Carter Page. Next paragraph. This creates three very important evidentiary records. Number one, the FBI admitted they conducted surveillance on Carter Page beginning as far back as 01-2013. Number two, the FBI had Carter Page on their radar over 2 years before Donald Trump announced running for president, comma, in bold. So because of their surveillance, they obviously knew from the start that candidate Trump was not involved, nor the impetus of any Russian collusion involving Carter Page. Number three, the FBI knew of a possible Russian threat that they had been investigating for over 3 years prior to announcing Carter Page was the reason for investigating the Trump campaign, but failed to disclose the information to candidate Trump running for United States president, comma, through a defensive briefing to warn of risks associated with hiring Carter Page, and the FBI did not take actual procedural precautions required if there had been any real offenses by Carter Page, period. So game over really just on that one premise, but there's 45 premises and a couple of others that are kind of nebulous that we didn't get to finish investigating, but 45 different premises that name James Comey, Sally Yates, John Carlin. There's interactions with aides of Adam Schiff. I mean, it's a network.
Are you
information then?
I'm sorry, Mary, it's loud in here. Can you say again?
I said, are you the only person who has this information at this moment? Has it been disclosed? The whole thing? No, but
The others are, I mean, there's 27 whistleblowers, 9 of them are from the FBI, that have some of it or that contributed to it. And I've got their statements, I got their videos at repositories, but I can't move in this place. I mean,
that nobody has seen this information of. And I can't get a hold of them. We put things in a
passcode protected thing. I've tried calling several of those people. And you know, where I used to work, I had, Sidney Powell, a few others. I mean, I like Sidney. We got in a big fight, though, because I told her that we had an argument called the invincible argument. The invincible argument was that on January 9th, 2020, there was a Democrat committee that interviewed Dominion Voting, Hart Civic, ESS&S, and they determined that the voting machines were not certifiable. Game over. If they would have used that argument, it would have been instantaneous. It had standing, it had evidence, and it had remedy. to call for a new election. So I got pretty mad. I was working clandestinely along with a lot of other people at the Arlington Westin Hotel at the time. That's where, as you probably know, was the war room for President Trump on the 2020 campaign. And I got in a big blowout with Sidney and some other people, and I was kind of odd man out. They accused me of being a black hat deep state because of where I used to work and because I was president of George H.W.'s telecom companies for 8 years. And so they said I was working for Bush and all this stuff, and I had a big blowout. James Corsi kind of came to my defense, and a couple guys I knew from CIA that were working there. But, I went through that whole debacle because of my argument with Sidney Powell. But her deal, a lot of it was true, but there wasn't, I don't want to get into it on the phone, it wasn't quite as spectacular as she was saying with the members. And if you have just a couple things that are wrong in this environment, it's going to crater the whole thing, which it did in court. So that basically torpedoed using our stuff. And then finally James Corsi called me 2 nights later saying that, hey, they know your thing is right. Can you get the information to us? So I got it back there, went back to Arlington, got the information, but then I guess it was too late that Rudy couldn't get it into court. And by the way, here they also, I found out, were illegally electronically surveilling me, Rudy, people from several conservative medias, including Fox, Eric and Lauren Trump, a whole bunch of people illegally. And we've got the names of the people, and we've got people that will testify in those agencies, including a couple people from NSA where U.S. equipment was used. So, I'm looking over my shoulder at this place all the time. I don't think anything crazy is going to happen, but legally it has been. Legally, I've had my rights completely
Right. I'm so right here. I'm so sorry. I just can't be. I've been trying to keep it low key. I haven't really reached out to people, but I've been watching the news here. At least I get CSEV for my news. Well, how long have you been there? What were you charged and convicted?
Well, I was arrested going to Canada. I every year I go to Canada twice, for Christmas vacation, summer, because my wife's parents are there, so we bring the kids up. I was arrested going to Canada. They said I was guilty of murder. They merged my file with somebody else's file with a similar name in San Mateo that was involved in a shootout. If you look on a website, put my name, Robert Corona, in, you'll see there was a shootout in San Mateo. The guy was killed, so obviously that's not me. And then there was other people they merged my file with, too. I had a thing when I was president of the companies that family members of George Bush and former Secretary of State James Baker owned. I was a CEO and president of 3 different companies that built out a lot of internet
infrastructure. You try to get this information straight over to DOJ, to somebody who could help. Is there something else that I can, at your identification number, anything else that would be important for them to know? Yeah, let me give you the address here real quick. I'm at 1200 Baker. This is really important. It's the number 6. I'm on the 6th floor. Yeah, so it's number 6. D like Delta, the number 1, B like Bravo, so 6 Delta 1 Bravo. Yes. Okay. That's where I am. And don't let them tell you anything else. I'm Avhead. The numerous attorneys try to visit big friends, family. They all can't visit me, so you have to sit on them. I'm here. Believe me, I know I'm here. I've been this. You sit like Theo, everybody, 1200, yeah. 1200 Baker. 1200 Baker. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to reach out to anybody to Republic phone like this, but I saw in the news how they keep reusing. They secure us. Goodbye. Every we're good again right now, Robert. We okay, good. We know that's a good thing. Yeah, please. Would you be the kindest to stay clearly on this? I'm going to pass along what you were charged with, how long you have been in prison, your next steps, your attorney of records. Yeah, I've been to the county mill. I was trying to get since the latter part of 2023. So I've been here that whole time period. Kept thinking I was going to get out. They wouldn't lower my bond. It's since $750,000 the whole period. My name is Robert Carone, C-A-R-O-N, who if pray when receiving this recording. I am at 1200 Baker Street in Houston, Harris County, Texas. I'm on the 6th floor. It's 1 minute left. I guess the phone's going to turn off here. Yeah. Oh, no. I got to read you give more money on this phone. It'll take me a few minutes. I call you back to what I heard. I said I'm international. Let me try to get this. Let me give you my spin number. Let me give you my spin number real quick. This is just 00889966 or 00889666 or 00889572. But I think the one they're doing is the 3 sixes on this thing. 966 and the 3 sixes are what keeps coming up. I'm only supposed to have one, but they may need to use all three to try to find me at that address. 6 Delta 1 Bravo. I'm sorry, what were you saying? Got it. Now I'll try to call you right back. I'm Ethan said I've internet. And thank you for using. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
It is being reported in the health.
Okay, good. Okay, this is non-consequential anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's entitled No Threat Assessment. It's
All right. So let me tell you guys about Robert Karen and my interactions with him. Yeah, well, no one likes to talk about him, and he rubbed me the wrong way. And he actually, the last thing he said to me is, Brennan's not a good guy, right? And I was like, how is that even a question? But before that, here's what happened. As you all know, I told them that the Democrats had met with each other, and this was before Millie Weaver had presented the information that I was monitoring all of them because I had access to the main admin server. And her report in early 2020 disabled my access to it, even though I had admin rights from the bottom. So it could have been that she was just reporting and it was just an outcome, or maybe it was planned. Who knows? I was going through a very tough time between December 2019 and, since then. So who knows? Regardless, truth is still there. What I was trying to say, and I've said this numerous times, is that they were going to use the lack of certifications against President Trump. They knew that the machines were not certified, and they didn't care because they thought if they win, even with uncertified machines, and conduct this fraud, that President Trump will have no leg to stand on. This is why the media was so loud, making it seem like everyone wanted Hillary. And this is why people had to fling into action. They already knew that they weren't certified. Okay? They already knew. It's not, I said they were going to keep it in their pocket to use it against President Trump. I said the EAC had no quorum for a full fucking year. I said in 2017, literally a month after those certifications lapsed, I sent a letter to every single person in Congress, every single person in Senate, and said, yo, we got elections coming up in 2017, and these machines don't have certifications. And nobody responded, and as I wrote in my Tina Peters article, Senator Wyden bit. And he created that breadcrumb that you can't erase, which is asking Jack Cobb, hey, yo, we need to make sure we're on top of certifications, right? And I submitted that in my affidavit too. And then in 2020, when the elections happened and they stole it from President Trump, I sat there and I told everyone, just fucking nullify every single damn election post 2016. Anyone elected in 2017, 18, 19, 20, and so on, should be null and void. I mean, this gives President Trump 3 Diet Cokes, 3 scoops, 3 fucking terms, right? Because it was nullified. Like he didn't have a proper election. It was completely stolen from him. Completely. And they didn't care because they were going to be louder and they were going to own everyone. And everyone that was in DC had everything. And I was right from the beginning because I knew about it. And what Robert Karen did, he sat down and talked to me and he said, how did you know about this? And I said, well, I can tell you that I just knew about it. He said, well, Gavin Wentz told me that it's almost as if you pretended to search it and find it in front of him in the Willard. And I said, yeah, I did. I Googled it and found it. And he looked at me and he knew. And I said, look, if I told you that I was watching them talk and how Adam Schiff's aides were coordinating all of this, well, then would you believe me? Probably not, because they've already deleted me. So you can take it as you wish. But I gathered as much evidence as I could. Most of my evidence was purged in August of 2020 with my SQL that Red State Radio was housing and deleted. And in there, I had keys to the place where I had it. And that place where I had it was also deleted by Millie Weaver. So I didn't have the key. So therefore, I couldn't access it. And therefore, I did what I could. And so he actually found the meeting that the DNC had to confirm what I had stated. He did not know about this. And so when I stood in front of General Flynn and others and said, just nullify everything, just vacate the Senate and Congress. This is a legal remedy. This is accurate, and we could get this done, right? We don't have to play around fucking stupid psychological operations games that are gearing up right now again. We need to focus on that. Streamline. It's the law. The president will be like, holy shit, our elections were wrong. Even my guys that won in 2017, that won in 2018, that won in 2019 need to be out, right? I mean, in 2019, they were fixed too, remember? Right? In Kentucky, right? Putting in that AG, right? So what's really, really hard is to watch the public get swayed so hard with big megaphones. I guess maybe that's the purpose, that people need to learn that you can actually discern truth. And here we are. I remember being told that'll cause chaos. And I was like, so what? It's better to just sign up the fuck out of the people of the United States rather than rip the Band-Aid off? Is that what we're going to do? Are we going to play that game? And so Robert Karen rubbed me wrong. I was there when Patrick Byrne fired him, and he's like, he's ousted. He's out. He's completely out. I didn't understand why. And now I do. Because he actually got the evidence of what I said. And this is key. And Sidney Powell was targeted for using the evidence that I had. Because one thing people know in the intelligence community is that when you talk elections, it's a life or death matter. And right now, I am so gutted. I was going to take this and figure out a way to pouch it to someone at the DOJ or something. But I thought better that the people see it themselves and hear it themselves. That there's a guy who was conflated, and this is normal practice when you want to arrest someone, right? And you have nothing to arrest them on. What you do is you merge records, right? You have like someone that has a similar name, or you back change somebody else's name for another crime, but you're not charging them with that crime. Like he said, there's a guy that had a name like mine, and then I was arrested for murder, and I was like, what the hell? And then it's not murder. He's being held, doesn't know why. He's in this limbo place in Texas, right? And he's not even able to be found by people. So, I mean, for all of you regular American citizens that are in Harris County, you should go find him. I gave you all his SPIN numbers, which also many of you that understand how correctional facilities work and how they are, why would he have so many? And why would they be withholding him from being able to meet with people? Now, what he was doing was reading a portion of the documents. He has a shit ton of documents. He has evidence that they don't want coming up. Now, timing is everything. And every moment has its place. And I think this is the right moment that we pull Robert Karen out and pull out his receipts. Mine were simply firsthand knowledge with no, I would say, hard evidence, except for their own records. He went and found other records. So he's in there now. They found, I guess, something about his dealings with George Bush. I mean, they'll silence you, whatever. But the thing is, he has this information. Why not look at it? Why not look at it? Why not take a look at what he has? Why not concur? Why not take it? Why not investigate it? I mean, Comey's all over this. And I think I may have been the only person at the time in 2016 and 2017 and 2018 and 2019 that's talked about John Carlin, right? And how they got these FISA warrants and how Judge Collier did that and how she allowed it to happen and how they had these secret meetings and how they conferred and decided that they're going to create CISA. So, thing is, do we all want to know the truth, or do we want to play footsie games and go on, these panels that Patrick Byrne, and I think I don't have the audio with me, but I'll make sure to have it at some point this week, said General Flynn did a great job continuing the operation so that people can continue to speak with the events. It was the best influence operation we've ever done. Close quote. I think that's a big problem for me. A lot of these influence operations. Very big problem for me. And, that's where I agreed with Salty Bergie. And when he said, I'm going to go do my own op, I'm like, well, go fuck yourself. Because that's why we're here. He changed the tune. And a lot of people did. And they continued with the influence operations because I guess they like to feel popular, like to get sponsors. They'll say whatever. I mean, Alpha moved from Los Angeles, wherever the fuck he was, to Texas. Huh. So weird. His whole family. I thought he didn't have money. So it's kind of interesting as to why he'd be there. I would say keep the witness in there, keep him quiet to pull him out when it's needed. Well, I'm raining on that parade if that's your card. And I've just ripped the Band-Aid off because I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of people filing shit that isn't going to help anybody. I'm tired of, people grandstanding. I'm tired. And I'm not talking about the people. The people, you guys keep filing those judicial complaints against Justice Barrett in Colorado, please. That is doing a fuck ton. Okay. But we need to let the judge run his fucking course. Do not push him. Do not keep filing. Do not keep doing. At some point, the DOJ can intervene with extraordinary circumstances. And I had a nice conversation with Apollo, and hopefully something will come out of what we discussed to aid in this matter. So one must, kind of think at this time, are you tired of being pulled by the nose? As I said, listen to your president. But I've also said, kind of start trusting your gut. A lot of people are going on sideways tangents, right? Having discussions, doing gestures of grandeur. I'm really glad to see that the CIA operative that inserted Barron's mystical adventures or whatever into the Library of Congress to make it look like a time travel thing finally came out into the public and spoke about election fraud and how it's all Venezuelan, which is also a lie. Because it's not Venezuelan. It's almost like we're trying to not fracture the trust that people have in the government by saying we did it. So when I see CIA coming out and giving half-truths, and that's exactly what I described to you that I did to Robert Caron, when I saw he was wearing a toupee, when I saw that he was taking notes, but he wasn't really writing anything. And when I saw that the Epoch Times reporter that was transcribing these things had a foreign national that was Chinese sitting there that spoke no English, I decided it's time to give him some bullshit. So he can't use any of this shit. Because that was my problem with him. And I think he realized that. And that's why he chased me down. But facts are facts, regardless. Everyone knew I was right. And because I don't have any documented ties to the government, I couldn't do anything but deploy hate operations, these crazy people that attach themselves to me acting like whatever. That's a whole other topic because there's an actual CIA manual about this and we'll talk about it so you guys can see it. I have people saying, haven't they originated in Venezuela? My God. The story is that we developed it in Venezuela, you guys. Don't you get it? We worked with Venezuela. We did that, and Venezuela took point. Why not give it to someone else so someone else gets in trouble and not you? It would kind of suck if the whole world said, holy shit, America created shit that stole our elections and their own countries. That's why he said, these are weapons of mass destruction, especially psychological operations, which a new one is being built right now for you. So I am a bit sad for what's happening to Robert. And like I said, I kept tabs and I didn't hear from him in 2023, which makes sense now. And I think I've told you, he was in Canada. He's the one that let me know that Roger Stone was there. You know, I have a thing for CGI after they're the ones that paper shredded for Mueller. I'm really hoping that someone from CGI kept some of it, but Christopher Wray parked it in a very convenient place for us, so that's okay. I think what we need to do is stop focusing on optics and focusing on facts more and truth, no matter how much it hurts. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of people that do it. There's no authenticity out there. Everyone's fake as fuck. Okay. And that's why I do my little get ready with me's. And so palms up, right? Palms up. That's the way it is. And everyone should be like that, especially in times where there's confusion. Everyone is exhausted. They're tired of fighting. They don't want to know. And that's exactly what is being planned. And unfortunately, the wheels of justice do run slow. It never comes in the Ferrari. It comes in on a donkey. But I'm going to tell you this, it's fucking coming. And it's inevitable. Either the long way or the short way, truth will arrive. And she does not give a shit about anybody's feelings. And I see a lot of people putting questions. Is this guy, that guy? Come on, man. You guys should be better than that. At this point, with all this confusion, and I said this was my biggest issue with psychological operations, even if they're being deployed for good, if that's even a thing, is that when people are so confused, it's like they're falling through like, a wormhole, right? It's like an endless bottomless pit of just flailing, right? Like, what the hell is going on? And they grab on to the first thing that feels solid. So if they think Ivan Raiklin feels solid, they'll hang on to him. If they feel this person is solid, they'll cling on to that. If this one that claims violence is solid, they'll go with that. If this one that says kumbaya, just pray, they'll go with that, which also neutralizes their want to get things done. So just so you understand, you can read a lot of these transcripts for this J6, but if you actually read Kelly Sorrell's transcript, right, closely and long enough, a pattern begins to form out of the noise in there. Robert Karen, right, who never stood in the center of any room, but somehow controls the temperature in many of them. There's few references, a couple calls, a handful of comments from Sorrell herself. But the more you look, the more you realize that the absence of detail is the actual detail. He's the kind of person who never appears with the light on. Only when someone else opens the door and the light spills sideways across his face. I mean, that's usually what PMC, personnel and CIA compadres do. Now, the transcript of Kelly Sorrell makes one thing clear. Everyone around Karen understood him to be former CIA. I mean, that's how Sorrell saw him. That's how many other people saw him, as if it was common knowledge. My understanding, and I quote, my understanding is that he was former CIA and he was now doing just like investigative work. Statement like that don't get made lightly, right? They're the kind of thing that people say when, I don't know, they've been told enough to believe it, but not enough to fully understand it. And that's how intelligence veterans operate. Once they've left the agency, they carry around this aura of unfinished assignments or half-closed files or training that was never decommissioned. Once you're in the CIA, you never retire. You're just kind of repurposed. Now, Karen fits that mold a lot. And so much that it's not coincidental. He's not floating around all these political circles because he's bored. He's not picking up field intel for fun. He's there because he knows something. He's building something or he's reporting something. Maybe all three. And when you look at how Kelly Sorrell in her, testimony describes his role, he isn't a foot soldier either in some post-election chaos. He's a connector. He links the ground level operatives to the higher nodes of the political structure. And she says she got in touch with Andrew Giuliani and Catherine Fries through Robert Karen, right? That alone tells you his network isn't just broad and strategic. He links legal teams, political influencers, activists, and investigators, like he's routing data through a private server. No one else in this transcript does that. No one else ever tries. And, when I was quietly made an offer, not one time, but many times, and one time from him himself, they advised me that they would polish me up and put me on TV and I can work for them, kind of like Jake Tapper does. And I kindly declined. And I said, that's not what I want. I don't want to do. I want to fix things. I think I've mentioned that. And I also want to be proof of concept that our media no longer requires sponsors. It requires the people. Kind of like the way in England they had like this TV license thing. That's the way it should be with the news. If the person isn't bringing you content you give a fuck about, you don't fund them. If the person does, then you fund them. I mean, I really wish that, everyone that listens to me drop me $1. That would make my life a lot easier. But on the other hand, the struggle is real, but the concept is there, and I'm still kicking, and I'm proving this concept in a very hindered position too. I'm not like, a hot chick like Chanel Ryan that's extremely polished and has all the video cameras. I'm doing it myself. And so if we move our media into actual merit-based, I guess, kind of like Tucker, that would be better. So that's why I declined it. I just wanted to elaborate that in case anyone was wondering. Now, I wanted to say in that transcript of Sorrell's, there's a part that doesn't belong in an election transcript at all. And it almost felt purposeful. And that was the Trump Tower spoofing. That's a kind of detail that leaks out only from someone who's been sitting on top of something classified or adjacent, which leads back to he could have been a liability and maybe they stuck him in there. Now, Sorrell says that he had documents about spoof communications coming into Trump Tower during the Russiagate years. Spoof signals misattributed to Trump associates to create the illusion of foreign entanglement. And she also said that Robert was part of the group that acknowledged it was spoofing coming into the line. And that's not gossip. That's counterintelligence, right? And counterintelligence does not leak unless someone who was there decides to open their mouth. And if you remember, we also knew that during the, adoption meeting with that Russian person who was such a setup. I analyzed that years ago. You guys should go on TorySaid.com and look it up. They had Loretta Lynch had a wiretap where Manafort's phone, even though not in use, they were using that to listen in to the conversations that were happening there, right? So it's important that we understand that. Now, he dropped a lot of names, Clapper, Hayden, Elon Musk in that transcript. It doesn't matter whether those were real connections or deliberate name drops, right? Because it still serves the same purpose. It just signals how he wants to be seen as someone who moves between intelligence, military, and high-tech allies. Now, people like that always operate between worlds and never inside them, right? But the most revealing comment comes from January 5th. At the Phoenix Park Hotel, where Sorrell arrived with Rhodes and Bianca. Bianca was the Latinos for Trump chick. She was actually part of America Project, the influence operation that Patrick Byrne and General Flynn set up to motivate the people. So she was in charge in Texas in recruiting Latinos to kind of join her influence operation, collecting names, numbers, and calling them to show up when she needed them. That was literally her job. No shame. It was a job. I know people are going to be like, what? And it's like, come on, guys, you're not that stupid. You saw it was an IO, right? All the, Awaken tours and stuff like that were an operation to keep you kind of pumped and feeling like things are happening because nothing was happening. And sometimes you wonder if they're trying to make you feel like something's happening when it's not happening. Is it because they want something to happen or is it because they don't? Question. Posture on that. Now, after she arrived with Rhodes and Bianca, the first instant Bianca had was to call Karen, not their lawyer, not their organizer, not anyone on the efficient team. Bianca contacted Karen directly, and that would make sense because she was hired by Patrick Byrne and General Flynn. So Patrick Byrne was funding Karen, and he was probably the point of contact. I mean, I know that the people in Arizona that were doing the elections, that couple, they were in contact with Robert Karen. That's how I met them. And I was like, oh, and they were like, yeah, he's on the outs. The general told us. And I was like, So I was just buying information. I was just kind of floating around and getting some information on that and listening. So that was really interesting. But in this, they call RC Robert Karen, and they treat him as as the person who needs to know that they arrive to where they need to go. That tells you everything, that he was running point for something. So that's the behavior of people checking in with their handler, or at the very least, someone overseeing a broader, operation. What's going on with the legal stuff? He asked them. Like he's monitoring, all these threads and processes that are parallelly running. And they gave him the responses immediately, naturally, without questioning, why do you want to know? But then Sorrell said something really odd, something most people would read right past if they weren't trained to hear it. She says the communications with Karen felt circular. It might have been a triggering point for the next rollout. Now, that's not language ordinary people use. That's operational language, phase language. That's what people say when they're part of a messaging campaign or a coordinated action or an intelligence workflow designed to move in layers. She doesn't even fully understand what she's implying, but she feels the shape of it. And Karen wasn't just a guy they talked to. He was a point in the sequence of events that occurred. And his network touches everything. Oath Keepers through Sorrell, Latinos for Trump through Bianca, and Thad, the Red Team 1 through affidavits, the Michigan Cell through Catherine Freese, the Russiagate counterintelligence remnant through spoofing documents. He isn't loyal to any one of those groups. He's parallel to all of them. That's how intelligence intermediaries operate, and this is why they're called throwaways. They don't belong, but they bridge. And when they are unnecessary, they get tossed to the side, which isn't really fair because he collected really good evidence. And I wish people would have went with my argument in the first place about the elections and how the machines weren't certified, because it's on the record that the Democrats said, oh, we can't do these elections with Hillary because they're not certified. And they're like, don't worry about it. We got the media in our pocket. We're going to fuck Trump up, and don't worry about it because no one's going to question it. He could sit there until he's blue in the face. We're going to fucking rig these elections, and he's going to. They did not consider that other people were watching, that had the same information, that they kept quiet. They assumed that during the Trump administration, President Trump would allow an agency to lapse for a year without his knowledge. I mean, at some point, he had to appoint someone, so he knew they had no quorum. See. That's how you fix things, with actual facts and timelines, not bullshit and sensationalism. So, and this is why Robert stands out a little bit, not from like what he does, but from how everyone else moves around him. Like I saw it, and he knew that I was cold from the get-go. He knew that I was not budging. And I said, look, if you think this fat bitch is going to fucking run her mouth to you, like, nobody likes you here, I said to him. I actually told him that. They have you on the outs. He's like, no, they don't. Yes, they do. I told him that. I actually told him that. And I was trying to be nice to him. So it makes me feel, like I met people that I've known for a little while, maybe work with for a little while. If I heard that they were in prison, right, I would kind of try to see what they were, especially when the shit that I've been mouthing off for years and parroting came from them, right? So, it makes me feel concerned that we have someone in jail. Okay, he might be a fraudster. Maybe that stuff they got him on is real, right? Let's all play devil's advocate, and let's pretend I'm on President Trump's think tank team, right? Let's just pretend. And I'm like, all right, so this guy's in jail. Okay, could be a fraudster. And personally, I don't really like him because he tried to do me one over. He should have known. You don't turn tricks to a hooker because the hooker knows all the tricks. So, all right, let's pretend he's a fraudster. Let's see what he's got. Let me see your documents. Why can't his attorneys visit him? Why does he have 3 SPIN numbers? Why the fuck is he sitting on the 6th floor in Harris County pending prosecution, per se, right? Or whatever. Like, what is going on here? How is he exiting in and out? Why was he meeting with people in Canada of the likes of Roger Stone and such? And the fact that he said Jerome Corsi came to his rescue, I don't really trust Jerome. I'm sorry. I really don't. I mean, he wasn't really liked in the agency either. So, I'm just thinking, I would say, let's listen to what he has to say. Let's get someone to sit down and get his information and ask him for information. You got nothing to lose. I mean, shit. We hit up criminals and murderers all the time for information. We're not going to hit someone up that got the smoking gun to fucking blow this shit out of the water with the 2020 elections. Coupled with the fact of what my affidavit said, taken into effect the evidence that Robert Karen has that they actually met and knew that the machines weren't certified in 2020, right? Something I knew from 2017. Coupled with what Tina Peters discovered, it's fucking game over. So why aren't we playing this chess move? That's what I would say. I'd say, I'm sorry, guys. I think we should just go talk to him. Worst case scenario, we can't confirm shit. Best case scenario, we got it done. How about that? See, the problem is that we play too much in optics when we should be asking people for information. Like Robert Karen actually took my information. He actually found the key. And I think this is why he was so upset that when he came to me, desperately to speak to me, that I wouldn't. And then he was upset to the point that he was stalking my friends that work for many agencies in DC and Virginia. So I am of the fact that the DOJ should actually send someone and ask him questions. And now that I've made this public, anything happens to him, well, obviously there's going to be more questions. And you can bury all you want. But the one thing that the truth does is it arrives extremely unwelcome. It arrives extremely abrasive and unapologetic. And it's going to come. So why not pull the pin and go the other way? I don't understand why we keep playing these circular games. We had people in fucking bow ties telling people to canvas shit. Like it was the worst IO ever. And the more I spoke, the more people ridiculed me for pointing out the truth. We had helicopter pilots, experts in election theft. Like, what the fuck? And everyone ate it the fuck up. We had people that make smoothies as political commentators. I mean, come on. Don't you have more respect and dignity as an American citizen to actually put your knowledge and your thoughts into the right basket? I mean, the best basket is to put it into, God's hands. And God will empower and make sure that people that can actually bring it home are impervious to attacks. Now with Tina Peters, we should do that tomorrow because I'm going to tell you guys something, and I'm not going to say the name yet, but I want to tell you something that me and my team of close confidants have been going through. And, if I cry, I don't give a shit. Yeah, and here I am. Wait, let me light a cigarette so I don't cry. Give me a second. Give me a second. So, someone really close to me was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And it's metastasized to the lungs and the bones. And she has no symptoms. She actually had a lump, but it was there for a while. When us girlies get like work done or whatever, or we have an injury, scarring can, and so yeah, they won't even do a double mastectomy, and but she's gonna be fine because a couple of years ago, we went to the French Quarter to see that freaky guy that appears out of nowhere to tell fortunes with the bones. And he said something really odd to her. He said, "Don't worry, you're not going to die of belated cancer." And she was like, "Why the fuck would he say that to me? Like, that has nothing to do with, like, why would he say that?" He also told me that I'm not going to die when I think I am. Which was totally random too, because that wasn't a question posed. So this person kept me laughing. They've been fighting for their country, and they do. So I've been a little bit. And the thing is, she found out the day Nick's was poisoned. So she kind of was like, "I'm going to go get it checked out, get my biopsy, you know, and whatnot." The numbers don't really add up because I saw the blood work. I haven't seen the images yet. But she started on a protocol and she's feeling already better. She already told me today, "Hey, because it spread to the lymph. And so her arm was a little bit swollen when I saw her. And the thing is, I've been meaning to go see her for a while. And, but we got a good protocol. She's doing the ivermectin. She's coupling that with Motsi, some Femben. Motsi, if you guys don't know, has extremely high anti-carcinogenic properties. Remember I told you guys that I was adding that soon and I was doing it for me. So that was good. So she gets to start that. She's started her protocol. She's going for a second opinion on Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving. And I'm hoping that she can advocate herself to just chop her boobies off and get the lymph node out so she can have some. You guys know her, you love her. I'm just not going to say her name yet until we know where we're at. So I just wanted you guys to know that this is why I've just been a little bit more bitchy and, whatever. I actually was adding Motsi to my peptides only because it has really good mitochondrial reinforcement. I'm also looking at other peptides that I can provide to her, like Humanin or SS. Well, I looked at SS31, but because of the way the metastases is, oh, Nick's heard I was crying and she walked in. Hi. She can't use that one. So I'm still trying to see on a molecular level how to go, but I'm just waiting for, more on the tests, and to actually see the images. I'm not a practicing doctor, but I'm pretty good. Oh, someone said, it's Motsi, MOTS-C. It's a peptide. It's not FDA approved. Wonder why. And a lot of people that are in the more biohacking sector utilize that. That and a few others are actually they target cancer. Like they induce apoptosis. That's why the first thing I said when I arrived, which mind you was terrible, because when I was heading down to Dallas, I had just come back from Chicago, and the next day in the morning I left with the first direct flight because I wanted to be there for her bone biopsy, and the plane would not land. I was circling over Dallas for 2 hours, and then the plane was diverted, and then the guy was like, "We're out of gas." So he was like, "We're going to Mexico." I'm like, "Oh fuck, I've seen this movie before. This is insane. Like, why did I not go Delta?" Because I wanted to get there early. And it was the only direct flight I could find to kind of be there when she wakes up. And then we ended up hanging out in a cargo area in San Antonio for like 4 hours. Fuck knows. I got on the plane at 6 a.m. and I didn't get off till 6 p.m. in Dallas, just so you understand. And that was 6 a.m. Eastern time. So 6 p.m. It was almost 12 hours. It was 11 hours that I was on that fucking plane. And we weren't even allowed to pull up to a plane station. We were in the cargo area to the point that maintenance brought pizzas from Domino's to feed the people on the plane. I'm not joking. Like, that's how crazy it was. The guy next to me was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Dude, we're all dead. We're in an episode of Lost." Like, I just tuned out and I was just like, I don't even want to know. I was done. I was busy on just watching bullshit, and that's it. So it was a horrible, horrible, horrible adventure getting there. I felt like it was just so bad, but I got to go and hold her in the evening and see her and finally bring, the gifts. I got a gift for her daughter for graduation that I've been holding on to since last year, but I haven't gone over there. I mean, you never want to send presents. You want to go to your friends when you can. So she's feeling better. She told me today she could see that, the way the tumor, which she was part of a scar actually, moved. So that's good. And yeah, and she's going to be better. But I just wanted you guys to know that it's for all of us, because this person put together all the data to demonstrate how they were kidnapping children from Central and South America, put it all together, fought for elections. So it's horrible when doctors don't do their job, when they assume because someone's healthy. No, she doesn't have any symptoms other than that her hand got her arm was a bit swollen. Um, um, she doesn't have any symptoms. They assume that she has, osteosarcoma. She's got a few spots on the lung, the lymph nodes, of course. But she's also got a nerd in her pocket. So I'm going to make sure that, I don't know. I mean, I just want you guys to pray for her because she needs all the prayers. And she's a really good friend of mine and yours, because she's the one that made me laugh in the building of Save the Children when she saw a foot fall through the ceiling, right? So it's extremely difficult for me to compose myself when talking about this, but I think it's important that we do, because people don't have these conversations. Now, I'm extremely upset that the physicians that she went to the first hospital, were reluctant to give her a bilateral mastectomy because they're like, you're stage 4, just take hormone blockers and let's hope they shrink. And it's like, bitch, it's spread. Can we take the source out? And it's terrible that she couldn't just get a mastectomy. I told her, hey, go to the second one, advocate for it. If it isn't, dude, I'm flying you to some other fucking country and we're chopping the boobies off, right? And we're getting that lymph node out. And the weird thing is that my father first knew that he had cancer from a lymph node in his armpit, just like she did. And he had the same. He had bone cancer and metastasized to his lungs and chest area, like the pyloric and all this tissue, collarbones, the whole 9 yards. So I almost solved it for him. I had him, when my father was diagnosed, he was doing really well for years until I was away from home and my card expired and they couldn't renew. I was giving him, see, here's how life works. Let me tell you guys how weird this is. This is so weird. So I've told you guys how I went to see Stephen Hawkins at a meeting, where he was talking. Well, in order for me to be in the front, I went to the person that was speaking before him and kind of sat through a boring thing, which was about cancer medications. I was young. I didn't give a shit about that. I just wanted the front row seat. And they were talking about thymosin alpha. So it's a type of peptide. And so years later, a few years later, when my father was diagnosed, they were coupling it with vitamin C injections, intramuscular. So I remembered that. And I had put my dad on that. It didn't cure him, but it put the pause button on the spread, right? And that's from we're talking over 20 years ago. Science and the developments have happened, more rapidly. So I think maybe she could be the face of finding an actual concoction on a molecular level that can work, because MOPC that has been kind of identified and created is exactly what I had told my professor about the nitrous oxide to induce apoptosis. So after I met with my my friend, and I went back to the hotel that evening, I kind of was like, I was just really sad. And in the morning when I woke up and I did a little bit of work, caught a couple of Zoom calls, it then came to me, holy shit, MOTS-C. Because if we couple that with ivermectin, they can tag team it. Because ivermectin's kind of like a hall monitor, right? It's like, yo, this is abnormal. Let me take this out. That's how ivermectin works, like low level shit, like teenagers in the hallway, right? But it can target some stray cancer cells too. MOTS-C is like a bitch with a katana. It'll come in and be like, yo, you're abnormal, but it can only identify specific types of cell differentiation. What is on my face? Did I just like smudge myself with the pen? Yeah, I did. So that's why MOTS-C is incredible. I'm just trying to give you a visual. It's like something that patrols, and when it sees abnormal cells, it just like fucking katanas them. So that's key. Now, we'll see what happens tomorrow, and I'll ask her if I can actually say her name, because I'm pretty sure everybody can figure it out. But, you know, I mean, if anything, I'd wish it upon myself. My kids are grown. She has little kids. So it's not okay. And she's really young. And she didn't take the vaccine. She just had an injury in the area from a car accident that developed into a tumor. The fibroid became a tumor. It should have been dealt with years ago. But this is how medicine is a problem, because kind of like that Marine who was sick and died of cancer because they would not give him the appropriate treatment because it wasn't protocol. This is what happens to every single American. So as we speak of healthcare, right? As we speak of healthcare, we should remember that right now, your doctor is not your doctor. Your doctor is actually controlled and told what they're allowed to do. But also, if your doctor suggests that you do something, you've got your insurance saying, well, yeah, you can't do that. And it's like, well, who the fuck is my doctor? Are you my doctor? No, some random guy that's an ophthalmologist will make a decision on oncological matters, on cardiac matters. That's exactly how insurance companies work. And yet the Democrats wanted to fund the fuck out of them. So this is a very big problem. Insurance companies are a really big hindrance into people actually getting healthcare, because right now that's exactly what the lady told her, like, your insurance won't cover it, and it's not something we recommend for someone in stage 4. It's like, bitch, just take my tits. Like, people can have elective mastectomies, but someone that's got tumors everywhere and a lymph node that's making their arm swell, not like, what? Like, that person shouldn't have a license, and their bedside manner should be way better, in my opinion. So, she's taking a bunch of stuff, apricot seeds. She's doing the iodine. And I think she came to the same conclusion as me, that should she start the hormone therapy yet? I mean, it hasn't been prescribed because she's seeing someone else for another opinion, but, I don't know. I mean, she hasn't changed anything. So I think it's more reactive. So hopefully we can find a good protocol, and all us nerds can get together and find it. But for those of you that may be concerned for cancer, or have had chemotherapy in the past, I should suggest that you talk with your physician and see if you can incorporate MOTS-C into a regimen that you can do, 3 times a week, to just maintain that anti-carcinogenic, environment within your body. So I just wanted to say that. I was going to talk about Tina Peters right now, but I think it's going to dovetail later. I really did want to talk about Robert Karen in the elections, because that's top of the list here, especially now that Comey's out of it, when we've got him all over documents knowing about the elections. I mean, why aren't we fucking deposing these peoples about the certifications of machines? Why did everybody ignore me? It'll come out. At some point. But I hope all of you can find time to pray. Yep, it's called MOTS-C. There it is. There are some peptide companies that'll sell it for non-human consumption, but they're pure. Miguel's also very devastated about this, and all of us are. And it's going to get done. I just wanted to say, that because I needed to get it off my chest, because it's not like I'm feeling like I'm lying, but everything that I put out is through my team. And when my team members down, I would like everyone to pray for them. They have like beautiful children. In fact, Phoebe had never met her daughter, and I showed her a video, and she's like, "Oh my God, give me your number. I want to be her friend because she's your friend's daughter. I want to be her friend." So, she's loved and she's a good person. And right now in Texas, they even have one case that I'm going to be testifying in January for elections. So that'll be interesting. And so today was kind of like a heavy show. Kind of showed you how you've all been duped by everybody in regards to elections. Tina has the goods because obviously it's the code, and the fact that they're not certified. See, you don't even have to prove about the code. No certification, no justification for use. You see how simple that question is? You see how simple that is, that you don't even have to talk about the code. They weren't certified, therefore it's null and void. And what gets to me is sometimes, and let me just, I think I said this before. They did this to run the clock out on our elections. But Assistant Attorney General Harmeet said there is no statutory limit on this, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And I just wanted to say the only reason I said this about my friend is because I saw messages fly by about information from the team, and I saw her name, and so every time I see her name, I'm like, yeah. I reached out to Dr. Mackis too. So I reached out to him to see if we can, put the minds together and see how we could do it. I'm only a molecular biologist, so I can only look at the micro, but I'm pretty smart. And so we'll see. So thank you, Debbie. They aren't certified now. How are they? Who said they're certified now? They're not. Nothing has changed. They just extended it saying that they don't have to. And you know what I noticed? It all started in Ohio. Some motherfucker, what's his name? Ross Elder from Ohio, right? Patterson. Okay. He was one of my stalkers. I named him in a lawsuit, if you remember, right? That guy was saying how they are certified, and I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You are just a counter op to America. Or maybe you were tasked to take me down and you just fucking lost the plot. These amazing women in Oregon have that shit. They've been FOIAing the fuck for certifications, right? And they have been put through the ringer in Oregon. And they have a case going. We have another case going into the circuit court in Pennsylvania. Like, this hasn't stopped. So I just want all of you to know we're still fighting while everyone's moving along and posturing and telling you about fucking Venezuelans. We don't give a shit about Venezuelans, okay? We don't give a fuck about what happened then. Like, why do we care? At this point, right? Why do we care? How is it going to help us by saying, yep, the Venezuelans did? We don't give a fuck. You know what we need to say? Fuck this. We know we had no certification. Anyone that's been elected in office post 2017, get the fuck out. You've been there illegally. We're having special elections everywhere. And these machines are out on their ass and we're using papers and pen. I don't give a shit about the backstory. It already happened. Okay? How about that? Can we do that common sense straight to the point? Okay. Could have been Venezuelans. Could have been Martians. Could have been fucking aliens. I don't give a shit. Right now, it already happened. So what? What are we going to do? Take Maduro? It wasn't Maduro, it was Chavez. And it wasn't really Chavez, it was the fucking Clintons and our government that trained the software there. So what are we going to do? Hold accountable 80-year-old dinosaurs and stick them in jail so they could die? Or do you want to see them hang? Maybe we could stop dwelling in the past, because that's how we get depressed, and focus on the now. And the now is, I want no machines in these elections. I want every election post 2016, right? 2017 and so on, to be null and void. Even my election right now in 2024 should be null and void, says President Trump. Because that's the right thing to do. Let's have elections again. How about that? Third term right there. Just saying. I mean, that would be the fair way. Wouldn't it? Would we give a fuck about who did it and when? No. But we will make sure that shit never happens again. And whoever we do know did it, let's round them up. Right? John's not getting away with it. Neither is James. Neither is the other James. Neither is fucking Obama. Because could you imagine a sitting president knowing that election machines are not certified and still saying, let's go ahead with elections? Oh, you little limp-wristed bitch. And the thing is, I saw all of it. They all knew. They all fucking knew. That's why they ramped up the media. That's why they had Strzok play cover up. That's why they had all this Russia shit. That's why they had the media hating him. That's why they were mocking him. That's why they paid all these people to throw Trump balloons up. That's why they did it, because they needed to make it believable that when they stole the elections, that it was it. I'm just saying. And they did it. Because unfortunately, President Trump had a lot of sleepers next to him and a lot of people. And this is why we couldn't confirm people. We couldn't put them in office. We had all these losers around us. But on the other hand, there were even smarter people inside and outside, just watching and collecting. So basically, they knew in January of 2020, you heard that, January of 2020, that the machines were not certified. They knew. And yet elections still happened. And our side allegedly didn't know. In fact, it was Seth Keshel who, when I told him that, you know what he said? How'd you figure that out? I was like, what do you mean? I've been watching this since fucking 2013, waiting to pounce. Because I smelled something. And that's why I fucking told on everyone in 2013 and 2014. So what do you mean? I mean, if you guys remember, in the Hunter Biden laptop, there was an email from Hunter Biden talking about how he was upset that Bush selected Obama to become president and not his dad, but he was happy enough to get VP. It was in the fucking laptop. So fucking weird. And you know what's funny? Did you guys see the operation? I'm going to go retro just to flex a little. Why not? I can be a cunt because I like it. Because they did this to the people. So when we got, well, I had portions of the laptop that I didn't know were portions of the laptop before everybody got the laptop. First of all, Isaac Paul did such a huge service to this country. Like, where's this guy? This guy deserves a fucking medal. He needs to be decorated by the president. Number one. Number two, Jack Maxey had it, hung out with whistleblowers in Switzerland, where people went to meet whistleblowers about Venezuela. Anyway, which is true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm 100% on it, but it does nothing for us at all right now. Anyway, so then I get this laptop, and then I literally replicate it as if I'm logging on, which I still have, to Hunter Biden's laptop. Now, I don't go for the hookers and the cocaine. I did kind of talk about the copromania because it kind of was pertinent because, you know, that poopy girl, that's so fucking ugly. Like, that chick is ugly as fuck. You know, with the guns, that gun girl, Liberty, whatever her name is, I don't give a fuck. Whatever. That's the only reason I wrote about that. But other than that, if you noticed, I put up crimes. But here's why I started writing articles rather than releasing it. I actually said publicly, right? I'm just going to replicate it and give you guys a simulation so you can look through all of it. And then suddenly other people came up and took the laptop and did it themselves. They released it. I shouldn't have released it. They did. Remember that? That's how you make people run. What did I say earlier about the whole pressure effect and the rush effect? They just come out and they do shit. See what I'm saying? Because then the world can see and pay attention. Was the work thorough? Something about the judges was not there. Actually, counterpart created a really good MLL that goes through understanding emails. So that was pretty interesting. He's been working on it for a while. And that AI kind of, like, we searched everything. We couldn't find anything of that. So that gave me a little bit of a problem. But again, did you see how I worked that? Oh, I'm just going to make it public and put a simulation out. Run, 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 run. I'm just going to, foundation, run, 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 book, run, run, run. I'm doing it. That's how you get people to trip up and see where people are part of good or bad operations. I mean, I don't know. Any operation is fucking bad. The people deserve clarity. The people deserve truth. The people deserve facts. Okay? Not this bullshit. So this election stuff is coming to the forefront. And because the president said so, I thought it would be great to kind of like showcase Robert Karen, because I sincerely do believe that the DOJ should actually go see him and see what he's got. I mean, he could be bluffing, right? But maybe he's not, because what I said is being confirmed. And Sidney Powell knows that was right too. And Sidney Powell was in a really sticky situation. There were operations upon operations upon operations. I mean, come on, guys. I had freaking people next to me that wanted to handle me. And I thought being nice and doing this would let them see that they're on the wrong side. But, people are greedy shits. So it's whatever, right? Fucking greedy fuckers, everybody. For what? Spotlight? You want to be in the spotlight? Better be careful what you wish for. So many times I said I didn't want it to be this way. It really did not have to be this way. But right now, to be fair, with everyone jumping on this Venezuelan shit and the stupid shit that I see conservatives spewing, yeah, kind of had to be this way. Kind of had to be this way. It kind of had to be this way. I think it's the people that needed to bring it home. I mean, no one was letting Tina Peters out. We did. And while I did that, I don't know if you guys noticed in the article, but the box I built was pretty stellar. Pretty stellar. Judge has no way out. I mean, he does. But then if he makes us go to the Supreme Court, then it's his name that's going to be in history as the magistrate that turned a blind eye to a constitutional violation. You see? So he's got to pick. Do I wreck the whole Colorado system, which deserves wrecking? Remember, they wanted to be the hall monitor of all of America and say Trump can't be on the ballot. You remember that? They were that fucking cocky that they were not going to. The state of Colorado said Trump should not be on the ballot. And all other 49 states and territories were not supposed to have it. Fuck Colorado. Round all those people up and get them done in. They talked, they colluded. We got that shit. And I just put them in a nice little fucking box. And just like Wreck-It Ralph, I came down the middle. So now, if there was I know a lot of people were like, oh, Ed Martin and whatchamacallit, the DOJ, they sent the letter to bring her to corrections. And then I floated the idea of, oh yeah, is it like witness protection? Then you're seeing a week and a half later, all the big talking heads, click, 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 probably witness protection. Fuck that. She's already in witness protection there. We're watching her like a fucking hawk. Okay? That's the way it is. Do you think that she's not being watched after? Do you think the private company that owns that Colorado prison is not scared shitless of what Trump would do if anything happened to her? Fuck that. You've got to start using your noodles. Here's why they did it. To pressure the judge to move. That's basically it. Witness protection? Shit. Meaning on that, we'll talk about Tina tomorrow, because I think that there could be something we could do on behalf of Tina while she's in prison just to fuck them up. So, and I'm kind of concocting the whole process today. I was on a Zoom call where they were talking about raising money for whatever subversion they're doing. Because they're raising a lot of money. They're recouping. And, it's not going to be a big bang. It's going to be very subtle. And there's a lot of foreign entities involved. And what are we doing with Harvard? Is anybody looking at fucking Harvard? Come on, DOJ. Like, they're running around, doing all this shit, organizing your fucking soldiers, pumping them up Like, why are we still giving the money? Cut them off. Cut them off. And it's not Chinese money they're getting. They're getting a lot of British pounds. And President Trump, while you're looking at BBC, can we talk about Channel 4 and ITV? Because that's where you need to hit, which are all subsidiaries, obviously, of BBC. You should hit them there. We should start looking at ITV and Channel 4. Oh, and if your people don't have it, we've got all of that. Okay? So, for all of you that haven't read that article, it's on X and on Substack. I'm having a problem with my server again. I don't even want to get into it. Like I said, I've had a lot of fires to put out lately. It's not on my website yet, but I will copy and paste it on there once I remedy the issue that I have. And then another note. I asked my daughter to put on her Amazon wish list a bunch of things that soldiers want in her area where she's at. I did, like I said, send them a little Grinch Christmas tree for morale that's 2 feet tall since they're going to be Grinches because they're not home. But I'll post it on my social media so that she gets all of that. They put all that. Most of the stuff that they want is food. They don't have a lot of protein and stuff like that. So I'm going to post it. So if you guys want to, you could just buy something and it'll go straight to them. Well, she'll get it and she'll just give it to them. So I asked her because they're not a huge team. So just to put whatever they need. So I will post the Amazon link tomorrow morning. I'll do it because I need to go eat dinner and I have early morning Zoom call because they're in another country now. Some of them. And by the way, Rubio, why do we have people negotiating the Ukraine deal when they're also negotiating how to overthrow the government and leaking classified information within these meetings? Just a question. These are really big problems that we have. I mean, did Cindy McCain resign yet? We're still waiting for that too. Right? We're still waiting for that too. So I'm going to reconvene tomorrow with you guys. Hopefully I can do it around noontime rather than later, and have something set up in regards to ideas and that I want to float to you guys on what we can do as a people to get the standing that Tina needs and to file a suit that we need. So I'll do that on the show tomorrow where I can show you that all the lawsuits that you filed, every single one of them are not part of the statutes of limitation. So I'm investigating that because I think you guys can pull out your old lawsuits and start refiling, and we could do it in a better manner this time without all the influence operations. Now, we do have a lot of them going on. I have new people trying to target me. I mean, we got rid of one group and they're regrouping and sending another. That's what happens. And their regroup is during a time of turmoil where, I'm still battling with my puppy. And now, I've got my friend, and I also have a very sick mom who's entertaining, she needs to come to the States for surgery. So obviously I told her she can come to me, but I don't know if that's going to happen. A lot of people have caused a lot of animosity with my family, claiming that my family members are me or, bombarding them with things, which the FBI should have taken care of, the stalkers. But, I don't really talk to my mother much. But we'll see how that goes. But on that note, I am working on a lot of things. Speaking of the challenge of influence operations. Now, when I was in Illinois for the 7th Circuit case, the people of Illinois told me, we're not understanding where we're supposed to be. How do we know? Here's the thing, you guys. There is no beginning and an end to an operation. It's always very organic. Kind of like how Gavin slid into my DMs and befriended me, and then befriended me really well, took information, started reporting, then introduced me to his wife, his children, had me emotionally tied to their family. This is how it works, right? This is how operations happen. You know, I know, for example, in the Illinois group, like everyone was working together, and then there was like a group of the MJs, and then these weird operators that came in just to kind of create destruction. But they didn't come in with a hammer. They came in quietly. A lot of people in your groups took your information and took it to the cause of America because they felt like they'll be seen on TV there, or that they'll have a bigger platform. It was more of an ego thing. You know, Patrick Byrne admitted that he poured in millions to create America First audits and take everything. But it's like, whatever, right? These people admitted to these things. You guys should be able to, on your own, discern, and don't worry about calling people out. Call them the fuck out. Like, why wouldn't you? Why would you not call them out? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. You should have the ability to stand up for the truth and say the things that are there. And if someone has a problem with it, well, oh well, truth is truth. Go pound sound. And sometimes truth isn't so absolute. I mean, from your perspective, it could be A, B, C, but it's really A, B, D. It's just a slight variation. Truth is there somehow. And if you feel that way, you should state it. And you should talk about your experience and showcase your experience. Like, I'm watching new assets attached to me all the time. The love bombing, the this, the that. Like, come on, man. And this week, I don't know if I'm going to do it on Thanksgiving. Should we be thankful for not falling for a CIA operation, or did we? Because there were a lot that did. Maybe we should do it. No, Black Friday. Ooh, Black Friday. No, Saturday. Saturday, I'll do a show where I'll show you how the angel cult shit that was created actually ties back to people that do it. And then it's really weird because in my DMs, there are people sliding in that are just like, hey, I just want to ask you this question. And it's like, I'm totally ignoring those fuckers, right? Because I can see that CIA operative that did it, oh, you've heard of them, Schoenberger. They did the angel cut. And Alice, who worked with him, was part of the whole Wall Street. So you know how long you've been opt, you guys? Can you pretty much understand how long these psychological operations have been going on in your life? We're talking decades. And you weren't even aware. Now you are. So there's no excuse. So that on the discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed that phone call. And again, I edited all the voices because there were multiple voices there, and I didn't want anyone recognizing who was on that call. Didn't care about me, but other people. So we'll get that together. Did you guys see that weird thing that there was like a man on the street with Alex Jones and Patrick Byrne talking about fucking Zoom calls? Did you see how Patrick Byrne said he gave everyone the Zoom calls of 2020? Isn't this weird? Almost seems like what Hillary Clinton said. Say a lie often enough and people will believe it. And if your megaphone is big enough, definitely people will believe it, right? And that's where they were banking with President Trump. And they kind of got it done. But you know what? In the face of adversity, President Trump has taught us what? To never give up. Have a great night, guys. See you tomorrow.
Years from now, some of them may look back and ask themselves whether they've made the right choice, whether they've made the most of the opportunities they've been given. Together, we have the same mission. Over the course of your life, you will find that things are not always fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve and that are not always warranted. But you have to put your head down and fight, fight, fight. Never, ever, ever give up. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. Nothing worth doing ever, ever, ever came easy. And the more righteous your fight, the more opposition that you will face. In your hearts are inscribed the values of service, sacrifice, and devotion. Now you must go forth into the world and turn your hopes and dreams into action. America has always been the land of dreams because America is a nation of true believers. When the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, they prayed. When the founders wrote the Declaration of Independence, they invoked our Creator 4 times. Because in America, we don't worship government, we worship God. It is why our currency proudly declares, "In God we trust." And it's why we proudly proclaim that we are one nation under God. The story of America is the story of an adventure that began with deep faith, big dreams, and humble beginnings. The next generation of American leaders never, ever give up. There'll be times in your life you'll want to quit. Never quit. Never stop fighting for what you believe in and for the people who care about you. Carry yourself with dignity and pride. Demand the best from yourself. The more people tell you it's not possible, that it can't be done, the more you should be absolutely determined to prove them wrong. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. You must keep pushing forward. And always have the courage to be yourself. America is better when people put their faith into action. Pray to God and follow His teachings. Today, each of you begins a new chapter as well. When your story goes from here, it will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. You will build a future where we have the courage to chase our dreams no matter what the cynics and the doubters have to say. You will have the confidence to speak the hopes in your hearts and to express the love that stirs your souls. As long as you have pride in your beliefs, courage in your convictions, and faith in God, then you will not fail. As long as America remains true to its values, loyal to its citizens, and devoted to its Creator, then our best days are yet to come. May God bless the class of 2017. May God bless the United States of America. And I just want to let you know that God blesses you. And I want to just say, you are special in every way. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, it was muted. I just wanted to say, for all of you gearing up for Thanksgiving, we got 2 days to get all our turkeys and stuff together. But remember, strategy is key. And strategy doesn't come in hiding or in a clandestine fashion. It comes head on. And the way I came head on was I actually told Tina Peters right after her pretrial exactly what I was going to do. And I made good on that. And you'll see just how everything plays out. Because I loathe boxes. Probably why I was so good being mesmerized and being fed in an ego to maintain the roles that I had maintained all my life. I don't like boxes. And it's not that I don't appreciate authority. I actually crave authority because it gives good structure. But I don't like boxes, especially paper boxes, glass boxes that a stone can crack. Strategy is everything. And in order to have a strategy, you have to be clean and honest without fluff. And all we've been getting is fluff, and it's time to get to the core. It's like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Where I'm done licking, bitches. So let's all say that. We're done licking. Let's go. I mean, Pandora's box unleashed chaos, but the last thing that came out was the hope to wrap that bitch all up and put it in there. And hopefully, if you guys reread that article, you'll understand exactly what the strategy was. And if you actually read the amicus carefully, you'll see it with your own eyes. Good night, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. And please pray for her.